Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
Okay, the last Power 5 conference we are previewing is the SEC. Ryan, we'll start with you. What are your overarching thoughts on the conference or biggest storylines you're looking at?
Yeah, I think when you look at the SEC, I mean, obviously Alabama and Georgia run it, so just those QB positions to me are going to be very, very interesting to just kind of see how they. It usually ends up working out well for them for those two programs, but I don't know. You never know, man. I mean, Bama seems a little questionable bringing in the quarterback from Notre Dame. They seem like they're not too sure. Milroe, or what are they going to do? Simpson, Buckner, who knows? Georgia, I guess they know what they're going to do back at this point, but I mean, we don't know if how good he's going to be. Can he match what Stetson Bennett's done? But then my other thing is just, man, I know they're still doing divisions. The West is just so good, man. I mean, it's deep, it's really, really deep. Maybe the most balanced division like there is, because I mean, maybe Mississippi State might be the worst team this year. Maybe, or Auburn is debatable, but Mississippi State won 9 games last year. They got Will Rogers coming back. I mean, they should be pretty solid, and I like Auburn this year. They got a lot of returning production. I'm a big fan of Hugh Freeze. Peyton Thorne should make a huge leap over Robbie Ashford, who was terrible for him last year. So I don't know. It's just very, very, very good conference, man. Division in particular.
Yeah. And let's see some other. I mean, I'll stick in the West. Then I'm looking forward to seeing what Bobby Petrino does at A&M with that offense, because this is, we're getting closer and closer to Jimbo Fisher's last chance, and I could see Petrino, getting a lot out of Connor Wigman, so that would be huge. At Ole Miss, as we speak right now, still a quarterback battle between Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think either guy could have a great year, especially some of the, Lane Kiffin always bringing in great transfer classes, but I'm particularly interested to see Zachary Franklin at receiver in that offense.
And he's got a great ground game, Quinshad Jenkins to lean
Judkins,
on. Or Judkins,
anything else, Trey, to add?
Just, I think there's intrigue in that it's not just about Georgia and Alabama this year like it has been in the past. Like, obviously, Ryan, you touched on how deep the West is, but there's, the East, you have storylines too. Like, can Napier in Florida bounce back or at least show some life? Can Tennessee stay rolling without Hendon Hooker? Is Georgia going to regress at all? Can Missouri improve? They're recruiting pretty decent. Can Drinkwitz get them elevated? So I think there's some intrigue. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's Georgia and Alabama.
Well, yeah, and by the way, of course,
LSU won it last year.
Yeah, LSU
the West.
They're like, what the heck? We won the division last year, and they return a ton. They did
nice transfers,
especially when you include the transfer portal. Yeah, they did a great job there. So a lot of people, of course, are picking LSU to win the West again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll touch on some of the other teams we didn't mention as we go through here. Who, Ryan, is your surprise team in the SEC?
I'm going to say Auburn. Team I already kind of mentioned.
We're simpatico here. I'm right there with you. Auburn.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We had Utah as our disappointment in the other episode, Pac-12 one. So, I think we're going to see a big jump for them on both sides of the ball, especially on offense. I said it, but the quarterback position last year was just atrocious. I mean, TJ Finley and Robbie Ashford were horrible. Ashford was the main quarterback, and he didn't even complete 50% of his passes. I mean, come on now, gentlemen. In 2022, you can't do that. That's bad. So Peyton Thorne's going to be the guy from Michigan State transfer. Is he elite? No, but he's going to be way better than Ashford. He can manage the game. He'll be competent. And Hugh Freeze gets a lot out of his quarterback. So I think Peyton Thorne, I think, ended up in a fantastic spot, considering where he transferred from. So that was awesome. But they got a good running game. I like what they got there. And they got a lot of really nice transfers, especially along the defensive line. Big Justin Rogers from Kentucky. That was a big get for him. So I don't know. Their win total 6.5. I'd take the over.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hugh Freeze just knows how to coach. So this is mostly a bet on Hugh Freeze and him kind of addressing some of the weaknesses in the portal with You mentioned on the defensive line, just front seven in general. That was a major weakness last year.
Yeah.
I think
which is rare for Auburn.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they'll be improved. And receiving core, I should say, is probably was the biggest weakness on the roster last year. And I think a slew of transfers will help that out. So yeah, I'm with you on Auburn.
All right, I'm gonna go Texas A&M. They were 5-7 last year. I've said it all off season. I'm buying into the Bobby Petrino mini hype, I guess, with him running the offense. Hopefully Jimbo gives the full reins over with Connor Wigman. I like Evan Stewart at wideout. They've got a bunch of linemen with experience, and they lost 5 one-score games a year ago, so they weren't that far from being decent. And that's kind of with the poor offense that they had. They were still very competitive in most of those. And I think the defense on paper should be one of the best in the country. Like SP Plus has them second going into the year. The blue chip talent they acquired over the last couple of years is going to start paying dividends. There really isn't a weakness on all 3 levels of the D. They lost, some at corner, but they bring in North Carolina D-back Tony Grimes. And the schedule sets up fairly well, where they only play 1 road game in their first 6 games. That's at Miami. So, and that's not impossible. Yeah. And they get Alabama at home. So if Petrino improves the offense a little, which I think he will, they could potentially be in the mix for the West come November.
Good.
Yeah. I agree there. All right, let's go the other way. Let's go with disappointing teams that we're predicting. And I'll start us out with South Carolina in the East.
Michael. Oh,
again, same thing.
Oh yeah. Hi.
Yeah. I'll go first this time. I'm not optimistic about the defense. It wasn't good last year, especially the front 7, and I'm not convinced they did enough to address that. On offense, I think a lot of people are remembering the last 3 games of the season for Spencer Rattler and maybe ignoring the first 10, which in aggregate weren't great. He too many picks, too many sacks. Not sure what happened in those last few games, but I still gotta count the whole season. And offensive line is still a question mark, so that could impact things. I didn't like Marcus Satterfield as offensive coordinator, so I don't think that's a real loss. But Dowell Loggins, a lot of people, of course, was asked directly to Shane Beamer. Was kind of a questionable hire. So, I don't know. I get why South Carolina fans are excited about Beamer, and he's done some good things and had some good wins. But I think this year, it's going to be a disappointing season, 6 wins or fewer.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit of a hiccup year, I think, for them. The program's headed in the right direction. There's some excitement, but I just don't think they're going to be that strong. They lost some key transfers, man. Shaheem Bell's gone. I mean, they didn't just lose guys
Marshawn Lloyd.
To the other USC.
Yeah. So not just seniors just going off to graduating or the NFL. It was like guys leaving the program. So I don't know. That's not a good sign. And they're playing a tough schedule, play tough teams, man. I don't know. I'm just not seeing them. They won 8 games last year, and I really have a hard time believing that they're going to match that. And with the bad defense they already had last year, they lost a lot from it. They were like 90th in the country in points per game given up last year. I mean, they were not even close to being good, and I don't see how they're going to be.
They were 117th against the run.
Brutal. That's a good stat too. They're just not good. So I don't know. I got my doubts. I mean, I think they can get to a bowl game, but I think that should be kind of just the bar for them this year.
I do like kind of the excitement and some of the recruiting that Beamer's starting to do, but I'm with you guys. It's they're not quite there. Okay, disappointing team. I'm going to say Alabama, the Crimson Tide.
Okay.
Saban has obviously found ways in the past to prove the doubters wrong. Of course, they're still going to be very good. Just based on the ridiculous talent alone. They got pros, especially on defense, Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not doubting that, and they're going to win some games just like I said on their talent. But I just need the quarterback play to prove me wrong. There are red flags. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where you kind of say, oh, it's Alabama, they'll figure it out. But if you were sitting there in week 6 of the season and someone told you like Alabama's quarterbacks aren't playing well, you would kind of be Captain Obvious and say, yeah, well, that's what they've been saying all offseason. But no one's really like saying that right now. They're still saying, well, it's Alabama. They'll figure, like, no, I think this isn't it. I mean, no matter what happened, they're going to go from Bryce Young, a number 1 pick base, and they're going to have to go. It was going to be a regression anyways. Now you've got a quarterback room where they don't know what they're going to do. And like, and not to mention you got a new offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, who has run a different system than Alabama has generally run in recent years. So that itself will be interesting. So I don't know. I want to see the quarterback play prove me wrong. So we'll see. And then, and on top of that, like when they're going to have to face teams like Texas, Tennessee, LSU, can they match wits with those offenses?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. This is the most interested I've been in an Alabama team in a while, because every year before it was like, yeah, they're gonna go 12-0, 11-1. But this year there's more. They
lost Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 off. Yeah. I mean, so
yeah, no, there's more downside.
They'll be fine, but
Bama than years prior.
I'll call my shot.
Okay, let's get to our championship picks, Ryan.
Sure. I am gonna go Georgia from the East.
Bold.
Yeah, super bold. It doesn't even. I mean, Beck doesn't have to be that great, in my opinion, for them to win the East. I guess Tennessee's maybe the second place team, and I got my doubts about Tennessee, but we'll see. So Georgia versus, I'm gonna say LSU. I'm gonna say LSU does it again. Like we said it, but they won the division last year. They beat Alabama. They got a ton of returning production, some good transfers. Jaden Daniels, quarterback, is back. I don't know. It seems like they might actually be slightly better on both sides of the ball. So why wouldn't they win it again when Alabama's supposed to take a step back? So, yeah. And I'm going to take LSU to win it all. I'm going to say LSU wins the SEC.
Okay.
Brad Kelly, man, he knows how to coach.
Yeah. All right, Trey, do you have a different pick or same?
Well, I settled on, I did do Georgia and LSU, and I have Georgia winning though. But I will say, like I mentioned, I kind of threw out Alabama just for the sake of this. So I was actually between LSU and Texas A&M. I wanted to be bold, but I took LSU because one, A&M has to play at LSU. A&M also has a much tougher crossover game. They have to play at Tennessee. And Ryan, you touched on it. I like Brian Kelly's coaching right now over Jimbo. And then Georgia, their schedule is very, very nice. Now, I think this is the year. It's not entirely their fault. They had to cancel the Oklahoma home and home that they had because Oklahoma is joining the SEC. So I think that this is the year they would have had a tougher slate. But their toughest non-conference game is Georgia Tech. Their conference schedule is as easy as you could ask for, considering being in the SEC, and their talent obviously reigns supreme. Even though with the NFL losses, Kirby's got them humming. So I took the Dogs.
Yep. No, I've got Georgia in the East. If somehow, whatever, they take a step back, or I guess more realistically, if Tennessee somehow leaps forward, because the defense for Tennessee should take a jump forward. Offensively, if Joe Milton, that's what it comes down to. If there's not a drop off at quarterback, then hey, they got a shot against.
Lost a couple of talented receivers. But
they did, but still got Bruno Boy, still got some talent there. So we'll see. But yeah, obviously going with Georgia, and I'll say Georgia wins it. I'm gonna have them beating Alabama. I'm making the bold call of Alabama in the West, which would be awesome.
It would be fun to watch.
It almost feels like picking Bama this year in the West is going against the grain, just because, even though it's not, they're the favorites, but just because, all that talk about the Alabama quarterback position. But I am doing what Trey was kind of not making fun of, but discussing. I'm just like, well, it's Alabama, they'll figure it out, right? They just got so much talent. Like
Saban, it wouldn't surprise.
Still putting my faith in Saban. They do host LSU this year, which could be big, and I think maybe maybe one of those quarterbacks steps up. I'm also shaky about it, but even if one of them doesn't, I think they're going to lean less on the quarterback this year. They're going to go a little bit more to the Alabama of old, where run the ball, play good defense, and kind of. and the receiving core should get better, so that'll make things a little bit easier on the quarterback. Though receiving core also a question. Who's
for sure.
Who's the star
Trey
there?
Burton.
We'll see. Jermaine Burton, or did you say?
Or, yeah, what did I say? Trey Burton.
Trey's over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, I have Georgia winning the conference. It's impossible not to pick them right now.
Yeah. Brock
All
Bowers.
right. There's the SEC. I'm trying to think. Are there any teams we didn't mention? I'm sure there's tons of teams. Vandy, of course. Sorry.
Kentucky.
Yeah. Sorry.
Did we say
They got
Kentucky?
With Devin Leary. That should
Yeah.
be interesting. And Liam
I do.
Cohen
Liam
back.
Cohen coming back. Yeah.
I don't know if we brought up Florida or not, but Graham Mertz is. I don't know. We'll see. He's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be super excited if you were my quarterback heading into the year, but maybe he'll pull a Bo Nix in a new situation.
Yeah, exactly. It could happen.
And they got a chance to make a statement week one. They're one of the best week one games at Utah. That we'll see.
Not a big point spread there. Okay. Well, we can hash it out in the comments as well if there's any other teams we didn't bring up. But thanks for checking out this episode of the College Football Bros. Be sure to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/collegefootballbros if you want to support us throughout the season. And we'll see you next time.